to tell me. Throw an error. No, it is a collider. Excellent. So first, if I want to check if it's the player, of course. Again, this will come later because we'll destroy the player, reduce a life, reset the player's position. But we're here now. Other dot collider. No, it is a collider. Other dot game object dot name is equal to player. Reset player. Deduct life. So yeah, I'll probably get all that to happen on the player. So at this point here, we'll send a message to the player saying, hey, you've just been hit, reset yourself and deduct a life, and if you're out of life, game over. That'll all happen on the player script, but it's all set up there ready to go now. And then we can say, alright, let's just say else. So I don't want to destroy the player while I'm testing, else destroy other game object. Okay, so that should get rid of the rock so that we can see the explosion where the rock was. Let's try that out. Should be starting to form the actual game now. So drop a bomb there. Okay, no, that didn't happen, did it? Why didn't it happen? Is it the on trigger enter? Let's just do a debug. Let's see if it is detecting that rock. Explodes, and no, I didn't get. So when I instantiate, it's not getting an on trigger enter. So let's try on trigger stay. I thought on trigger enter would work. If you get caught in the corner. And still no debug. Okay, so I'm forgetting trigger 101, aren't I? I'm forgetting basic trigger stuff. For a trigger, let's just show you in the Unity scripting reference. Yeah, trigger 101. On trigger enter. Note that trigger events are only sent if one of the colliders also has a rigid body attached. Trigger basics 101. Okay, let's just do it on the explosion, see if I can bodgy this together. Component physics rigid body. Let's say no to gravity, let's say yes to kinematic, let's just freeze everything up. I guess I should be doing all that on the explosion script too. Okay, so the explosion script now needs a rigid body, and script require component type rigid body. Okay, and then at the start, of course, we want to make sure that rigid body's set up in case I didn't set it up. So I'm not calling the rigid body all the time, so I can just immediately reference the component. Rigid body is kinematic, and now I want it to be true, because I want it to be not affected by any other colliders in the scene. And rigid body dot use gravity equals false. Rigid body. What is it for freeze? Okay, that's freeze rotation. It's true. And what's the other one? Freeze position. Now what's freeze position? Increase rotation, freezes and more. Constraints. Okay, so we have to set them up separately. Wow. Okay, so first one. Oh, hang on. Freeze all. There we go. That'll be handy. So do I have to freeze all? No. Okay, I've never used this before. So, how do we do this? RigidBody.constraints equals, I get you now. Alright, gotcha. RigidBody.constraints equals RigidBody constraints freeze all. There you are. So that should freeze position and rotation. So that's setting up the rigid body. Got completely off track. I have got this set up there, but just in case I haven't, it should all work. Now, all the way back to checking this trigger function. Come on, disappear. Yes, okay. Fantastic. And look, we can actually start moving around the world. But look, see, I can't put a bomb there because according to the 2D array, there is still a bomb there. There is still a rock there. So I'm going to have to be a little bit smarter than that. I can move through it. I can't place a bomb there. So I think I have gone well and truly too far ahead of myself. Because I was still setting up the bomb script and checking the positions. Alright, no, that's fine. We can do it all from here. We're checking if it equals 1 here. Now let's set it to 0 here. That should make things simple. Set array position to empty. That's what we're doing here. Let's make sure we do it if we detect the rock on this one too. Now, that should be A-OK. I'm stuck up here, let's drop a bomb. Close that out. And I can put a bomb where the rock was. Okay, and that was right there, wasn't it? Okay. Fantastic. We took that rock out. There was definitely rock there, but okay, let's say we know for sure. Alright, let's start here. We know for sure there is a rock there. Okay, so the rock's gone. And I can now place a bomb there. So we've updated the 2D array with the information. There we go, that's fantastic. It's actually starting to look like the real game. In my mind. There we go. Okay, this is starting to happen. So, let's just throw in the check up and check down while we're here. So, actually check up is going to be similar. Because check up is positive on the Y, so we're going to be checking against the maximum. Let's copy that one out. Check up. It's new. Now we need to modify our check position. We're checking up, so we're checking from the Y, so it's the Y plus I. And here, if check position, look, we've got all these check position X's in here. Check position Y is less than the level manager level size Y. And we're A-OK there, and everything else is exactly the same. Alright, yeah, let's check that before I go too far. What was that for? That was for the, yeah, that was for the trigger. I guess on trigger stage works, so I may as well leave it there. So, do I have an up blast? Oh, sitting on the bomb. Yes, I do. Oh, something bad happened there. The explosion went through. It went through the steel and to the rock on the other side of the steel. I've forgotten that check. Ah, dear. Okay. So like I said here, I say break out of the loop. Same thing here for the steel. That's F0. I haven't done a condition check for the steel yet. Ah, that's why that happened. Alright. Let's get the check down set up. And then we'll go back and fix up where it's blasting through the steel. Okay, so the same thing, we're checking on the Y. We're going to check down this time. On position Y minus I. And then the same thing here, if you check position Y is greater than 0, because we're checking it down. And 0. Rock becomes 0, so it should be blasting down here too. So it's just the steel. I have to tell it to stop blasting if it's a steel block. So let's just drop a bomb there. It should blast down. Or blast in every direction. Bang. Bang. Okay, it's starting to come together. Except if I put one here and we'll see it quite clearly blast through the blast through the steel. Okay, so let's just adding another conditional check here. Let's start at the top left. It should all be else's really. Else if. Else if. Else if. Okay, now, like I said, back to the start. I want to check if it's 2. Let's just copy that one out. Check if the block is steel. So steel, remember, was 2. Check that because I'm making all kinds of mistakes tonight, this morning. Steel is 2. So if check position is 2, we're not adding it to the list. All we want to do is stop checking. So we want to break out of the loop. And that's an else. Add that to all the 3 other conditional checks. I'm going to do a script review after this one because I've been scrolling up and down, adding things all over the place. So I will show this whole script at the end of this video. And yeah, we're not doing anything else really amazing. Okay, so what a great place to start. So, alright, there should be no blast above or below that steel. Great. Okay, pretty happy about that. And like I said, there was a rock there. There's none now, and now I can place a bomb. The only thing is my textures and that are rotated all wrong. Particle effect could be a little bit bigger. It just looks like it's the texture there. Alright. Explosion particle. 3, 7. It should give us a bit of bigger blast. Okay, yeah, that's pretty groovy. Alright. shouldn't go past. Of course, I don't know why I'm hiding, because at the moment if I hit the player, nothing's going to happen. Should go through the player. Yep. Okay, so I did a lot of mumbling and umming and ahhing and backwards and forwardsing through that script because it was getting late. So let's do a review of the bomb script. Okay, so everything there was pretty much the same. I did add the list and I did add the prefab. Okay, scrolling and the explode function. We're now checking the blast zone. Now this is where I probably lost you all. In the blast zone. So I've got to check the blast zone here. Scroll down. Okay, so I've set up my loop variable. I've set up a variable that's going to store our check position that we check in the array. Okay, so we have the first loop here, checking left. Construct a vector 2 for the check position. Because it's going left, it's position x minus I. Then we do an array out of range error exception check here. So we make sure that we don't break it. And if we fall into this loop, then we just check for what kind of block it is. If it's empty, we just add it to the list. And then we keep going because there's nothing to stop the blast. Then we check if the next one is a rock. Array index 1, value of 1, I'll get it. Then we add that to the position. Then we reset the level manager level array to 0 because we're removing the rock. And then we have to break out of this loop because that's where the explosion stops. And finally we check if it's steel. And if it's steel, there's no explosion there, so we don't add it, we just break out of the loop. Okay, so then after that, we've got this middle part. It's exactly the same for all the others. I'll just highlight the important ones. If we're checking right, our check position is constructed with x plus I. So we're going right of x. And if we're going right, we want to check against the maximum level size, x. Okay, so check position that there. And like I said, if we fall inside of this array out of range check, then everything else is exactly the same. We use our check position, see if it's empty, add it to the list. We check if it's a rock, add it to the list. We tell the array there's nothing there now, and then we break out of the loop. Then we check if there's steel there. If there is, we break out of the loop only. Okay, check up. Now this is different because we're now working in the Y, so our check position is in the position bomb array Y plus I, going up. And so if we're going up, we want to check that we don't go too high, so check position Y is less than the index. And then like I said, everything after that array out of a range error exception check is exactly the same. Check 0 for an empty space, add it to the list. Check if there's a rock, add it to the list. Tell the array there's no rock there anymore, break out of the loop. If it's steel, just break out of the loop. And then finally, checking down. So we're checking in the Y, and we're minus I, because we're going down. And so if we're going down, we don't want to go below 0, so this array out of range check is just greater than or equal to 0. And then finally, again, everything here is exactly the same as the other 3 loops. And then just for testing, it'll probably end up staying there actually, because it's working now. You instantiate the blast for every single position in our blast position list. Okay, so all I can suggest is rewind, watch the video again, go through the script slowly, and hopefully you're still up to the same position I am. Sorry for the confusion.